brain dissection. So first we're going to start off with the anatomical directions. And so right here we have it. This is the front, which is the anterior side, and this is the back, which is the caudal side. And then lateral over here, which means the side. And then right here is the midline that goes right through the middle. And then if we turned it like this would be posterior, anterior, and then dorsal up here at the top. And then we'd have the ventral down here at the bottom. So now we're going to look at the planes of orientation. So if we have it right here, set like this, then we have the coronal plane, which would go just like this, top to bottom, and that divides the brain from the front to the back. And then we have the sagittal plane, which goes right down the middle, and it divides that brain from left to right. This is the left hemisphere, right hemisphere. And then if you turned it like this, you have it sitting like this, and if you cut right down there, that'd be the horizontal plane, and that divides it from the top to the bottom. Okay, so now we're gonna examine the exterior of the brain. So first we're gonna look right here is the longitudinal fissure, and it goes right down here through the middle. And then we have the cerebral hemispheres, which is this and this, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. And then we have the cerebellum, which would be right here. It's just this section right here. And we have the brainstem, which is right down here, and it runs through just like that. And then now we're going to look at the four lobes of the brain. So we're going to turn it more towards its side. And we have the parietal lobe, which is right here at the top. And then the occipital lobe, which goes right here. Oh, right there. And then we have the temporal lobe, which is right down here under the parietal lobe. And then we have the frontal lobe, which is towards the anterior side, right here. Okay, so now, before identifying the structures on the ventral surface, we're going to remove the hinges, the meninges, which are the two protective coverings of the brain and spinal cord. So we're going to use our tweezers, and we're going to carefully remove them, these layers. So we're going to start down here. Let's see. It's right there. Okay, so now we're still removing the meninges. So we're just removing as much of them as we can with our tweezers while being careful not to get any of the brain itself. And kind of use my fingers to get some of that off. There we go. Get under here with the tweezers. Okay, and we're just going to get as much as we can. Try to be careful not to get any of the brain. Okay, I'm just going to wipe off as much as I can of it. Get this right here. And then get this piece and we'll be done. Okay, so now we're going to go on and look. Now that the protective layers are removed, we're at the ventral side, which is the bottom side of the brain. And we're going to see right here, we have the brain stem down here. we have the medulla oblongata, which is right here in this section, just right there. And then we have the cerebellum, which is right down here. And then we have the pons, which is right here. And then when we're looking at this ventral surface, we're also going to see the structures that are used for processing visual and olfactory signals, which are the olfactory bulb, which is right here. It'll be right here. And the optic chiasm, which is right here, right in this little section. And that is where the optic nerves cross, and they form this X structure. You can see it right here. And the crossing of the nerves occurs at the chiasm, a phenomenon known as decussation, which results in information from the right visual fields of both eyes being processed by the left hemisphere of the brain and vice versa. So now before making the first cut, we're gonna place the brain, so we're looking at the dorsal side, like that. And then using my hands, I'm gonna gently pull apart. No, look, it's gonna be right here, so we're gonna pull apart. Okay, before making the first cut, we're gonna look at the dorsal side. And we're gonna, not using the scalpel, just using our hands, we're gonna gently pull apart the two hemispheres of the brain away from the midline. We don't wanna rip anything, but we just wanna see they can slightly be pulled apart. And if we look into that longitudinal fissure right there, we can see the structure that connects the hemispheres, which is called the corpus callosum. And it contains bundles of fibers that connect neurons in the two hemispheres. And it's kind of hard to see, but you can see it's in between there, and it just connects these and keeps them together. Then we're going to set it down. And so now we're going to make our first cut, which is going to be the mid-sagittal cut. And we're going to hold the brain flat and level, and we're going to cut along the longitudinal fissure right down the middle. And so we're going to get a scalpel. I'm going to turn it this way so it's easier to see. And we're going to just cut right through the middle. We're going to cut right down it. Make sure it's a good cut. Okay. So now we have our two halves, just like that. So now if we look inside, we're going to look in this side right here. So we can see right here the cauliflower looking thing is the cerebellum. And then you can see kind of this Nike checks right here. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can tell it's the corpus callosum just right in here. And then if you look like right here and right here, we can see the ventricles that go right there. So we're going to set that back down. And so now looking at this on the side again, we're going to see the brain stem that goes all the way through, and then the spinal cord, which is right here. And then we have the medulla oblongata, which is right here. And then the pons right there. You can kind of see the circle right there. And then the hypothalamus, which is right here. And then the thalamus, which sits right in here, right inside of the Nike check looking figure right there. And then we have the gyri, which is right here. You can see it's on the outside right here. It's kind of on the top. And then the sulci, which is right in here. And so now we're gonna do the coronal cuts, which separate the front and back of the brain. So we're gonna just get this one right here. I'm gonna set it just like this. We're gonna get our scalpel. The front, which is the anterior, and the posterior, which is the back side of the brain. So we're gonna make a series of cuts, starting from the front and working back about 1 centimeter each. Okay, just like that. you see this little white part right here. And the white part is actually because of the myelin sheaths that cover the axons. And then you can see this darker, which is the gray matter, which is because of the neuronal cell bodies. And then right here you see this little circle, half circle section, and it's the hippocampus, which is located deep inside the temporal lobe. And it's kind of hard to see, and it's based on the word for seahorse, because when it folds itself like a jelly roll, it resembles a seahorse when cut into slices. So you can see you have one right here, and it'll be just like that, and you can see it through all the pieces. And so that finishes the sheep brain dissection.